So what's really cool is every fight you see is an actual replication of one of Christy's fights. So we memorized the exact combinations that Christy had during those fights with those specific fighters. I thank my stunt girls and my boxers every day because I told them that I actually want contact. And so every scene that you see, we're actually pummeling each other. And it was the best thing ever. I loved it. It was so much fun. I had a concussion, some bloody noses. It was great.
So I want to start with you, Kerry, about getting financing for a boxing film around women, because as we know, it's hard enough to get financing for a film, period. But when you're doing a film that's centered around women boxers, I imagine it couldn't have been easy.
Well, Christy's story has been with us for years and not been told. And when it came to us, it just felt like such an urgent moment to we have to tell this story and we have to tell it right. And immediately I partnered with David Michaud, who's not here right now. He's the writer and filmmaker, and he wrote it with his life partner, Mira Falks. And very quickly, the three of us just kind of developed this story and into the script, and immediately went to Sid. And honestly, Sid was this. She'd always wanted to do a boxing film, and I think, right, or a fighting film. And we had done our research on her, and we just felt she was so perfectly aligned to play Christy, in that they're similar kind of height and build, but Sid is just as ambitious and is a fighter inside, and we just felt she was, just absolutely perfect for it. And that really was what got the attention, was Sid's involvement.
Thank you for that. Now, I want to quote Ben's character. At some point, he says to Christy, fighting is 5% aggression, and the rest of it is strategy and control. Sydney, what kind of strategy and control did you have to get into to take on the role of Christy Martin?
Oh, goodness. Well, first, I want to thank you guys for watching this film. Thank you. So there were multiple different layers to Christy, of course. I mean, there was the physical transformation, which was quite challenging. I had 3 months to train, and I grew up boxing. I kickboxed and grappled from 12 to 19 at Gokor Hayastan, and it was one of my favorite things to do. I was the only girl at the dojo, and I loved it. And then I booked Euphoria, and I wasn't allowed to do that anymore. And so I always kind of was looking for something to be able to connect back to that physical side of myself. And when I read about Christy and I read the script, I was completely blown away that I had no idea who this woman was, because she's one of the most incredible and inspiring women I've ever met. So as I was training, I did 2 hours of weight training morning and night. I had 3 hours of boxing midday. I put on 35 pounds. And then there's also the emotional transformation as well, and then getting to know Christy and learning about her and having her by our side, because she actually was on set with us quite often, and it was such an honor to have her next to us. There were many times when we would just be completely in awe of her, and we would film a scene, especially towards the end of the film, and just think about oh my God, this woman literally walked out, and she is here watching her whole life be filmed as a movie. But it was just a really crazy thing to be a part of. I totally rambled on. I'm so sorry.
No, you didn't ramble on. You gave me exactly what I asked for. It's all good. Katy, oh my goodness, girl. The way you inhabited Lisa was amazing, because your performance was so subtle and so nuanced. Yes. It was so subtle and so nuanced that I couldn't stop watching you. And your character was her nemesis, but yet you were her friend. And I wanted to just talk to you about, as an actor, we often have nemesis that are our friends. And I wanted to know, in the guise of being an actor, how you brought that to creating Lisa? Because Lisa's a real flesh and blood person, right? So this isn't like it was a character that was drawn up on a page that you had to put imagination into. You had to bring some of her energy and some of her spirit to a role that of a person that exists.
It's funny because I literally just lost a role out to Kaylee Reese because we're constantly going back and forth of going up against each other, but like we love each other too. I love her so much. When I had the opportunity, and we both, I mean, it's so lucky we got to talk to these real people, and it's also terrifying because they're real people. You know, it's not like you have ownership or control of this character. This is an actual human being with a phenomenal story, and you want to be able to do it justice. So it was one of the scariest things I had ever done, especially given I was just like there for a couple minutes, and you know, you get to talk to her and you get to hear about kind of her side of things and where she was at the time. And honestly, she saw through the whole facade. When talking to Lisa, she's like, Christy was so successful but seemed so miserable. And she always saw that, so she understood that there was something else going on. And I think when you're a boxer, you're a competitor, you just kind of are like, people are going to talk. And then you just, you know, you let it go. And I think Lisa was always looking past all of that and seeing the real person inside. And I think that's, you know, why they wound up where they are today. And it's really cool to watch them together now and see how they interact and how they joke around. And it's even fun to watch, like when Sydney's got her wig on and stuff, and like is next to Christy, and they look so similar. And then I'm next to Lisa, and like we're like, yeah, we're the same height, we're the same. It was just really fun. And then when you get to grow, appreciate, and love the person that you have the honor of playing, and the person that you're competing against. It just falls into place. And the first scene we got to do was the hospital scene, and we just kind of started talking, sitting down next to each other and talking. And I remember asking if you were okay, like in the lines, and you just gave me this look of like, nah, no, I'm not. And I was like, ooh, and you feel it. But then Lisa's the type of person that just wants to make it all better. So. I don't know if that answered the question. I have a sinus infection, so I'm doing the best I can.
Listen, y'all don't have to worry about how you answering the question. You answering the question. It's a conversation. It is all good in the hood, honey. All right. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So listen, I keep it real. I'm 100. I'd be less than me if I didn't. I want to talk about, when I was watching the film, I'll get to Ben and Kerry again in a moment, but I just want to finish with the ladies real quick. When I was watching the film, I realized that as many boxing matches as I've seen, I never really knew what it means when they're marking on the dressings before you put the gloves on, the mark. What does that mean?
It's they wrap you, and then they'll check to make sure that your hands aren't, like, sometimes people hide stuff inside.
Oh.
And so they check it, and then they'll sign it so that they know that your gloves are safe and you can put them on for fight.
Okay, because I was like, what's up with the markings? I need to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Thank you for clarifying that.
Of course.
I also wanted to know, I know you guys had a fight choreographer on set. Can you just walk us through what that process was and what shooting that was like, and if in the course of doing this choreography, if there was a slip up every once in a while?
I had to be
quite a few bloody actresses opposite Sid.
Once again, I'm so sorry. So what's really cool is every fight you see is an actual replication of one of Christy's fights. So we memorized the exact combinations that Christy had during those fights with those specific fighters. And I thank my stunt girls and my boxers every day because I told them that I actually want contact. And so every scene that you see, we're actually pummeling each other. And it was the best thing ever. I loved it. It was so much fun. It felt real. I mean, Christy was cheering us on the sideline. Like, it felt so good. But there were definitely a lot of, I had a concussion, some bloody noses. It was great.
But also Sid, when she was training for the 3 months, they really studied Christy's, her her boxing motions. Like they really in depth studied that. And Sid has the power on her,
My left hook.
on your left hook, just like Christy. And it really showed.
I know Christy was like, so do you want to sign up and fight? And I'm like, yeah, that's great.
You might consider a new career, girl, because you're that
Honestly?
excited about it. I mean, you might want to go for it.
I loved it.
That makes me very scared for you, Sydney Sweeney. I don't know. Now that we've finished with the ladies, let's get into Mr. Ben, who played Jim Martin.
Yeah.
I mean this in the best way possible. Ben Foster. But I literally wanted to reach through the screen and snatch you butt into a knot. I was so mad at you. I was like, what is he doing? Why is he doing my girl like that? I was so salty with these choices, but I was so mad. But what I want to know is, I've seen quite a bit of your work, and you play these despicable characters more often than not. What is it that draws you to these types of characters? Is it because it's challenging to kind of go there? Or is it because, I don't know?
Yes.
You are not going to just leave me with it?
No.
Okay.
No. When Dave sent me the script and I watched the documentary, I hadn't heard about Christy either. And I was like, what role do they want me for? And they were like, Jim Martin. I was like, oh, God. In answer to your question, yes, it's challenging, but it's also a way of being in service. And sometimes the best way to explore the human experience is to look at things that frighten you. And that's a way, at times, that I feel that I can be in service. In particular, this, telling Christy's story, is to ask really uncomfortable questions about home dynamics. This film in particular, the fight at home is perhaps more dangerous or as dangerous as the fight in the ring. So I find it a privilege to keep working in independent film and asking tough questions. So I don't mean to come up and ask you to twist my ass in a knot, but.
It's meant in the most endearing way possible, I
feel
promise
that.
you.
I feel that. But yeah, we're in service here, and we hope to bring light to different elements of the human animal. And Christy is extraordinary.
But so are all of you. All of you were extraordinary in this film. I can't even stress it enough. I saw this film at TIFF, I believe it was, and I walked out and I told everybody how amazing it was, mostly because of the performances that I witnessed. So you guys crushed it.
Thank you.
I mean that, I do. I really mean that. I want to talk a little bit about, I want to keep it with Ben for a second. Unlike the ladies, did you have an opportunity to connect with Jim at all? Because we know he's incarcerated, so,
dead.
that's
He
difficult. And
passed.
Carrie can speak to this as well.
He passed away this past December
Okay.
while he was incarcerated.
Oh, so yeah, no, that didn't happen.
I asked. You want to do your homework. You want to honor every actor approaches their work differently, but I did have the question. And Dave said you can, but I'm not sure if that's the right idea. And being a contrarian myself, I was like, well, maybe I should. And then met Christy with you, and it clicked, saying, nope, going to do homework on our own. And it felt like it was paying off because it was early days. We were dressed as, we're not in a jacket, but Christy refused to be in the room with me when we got on set. She saw me, she turned white, and she walked off. And we did not have a conversation after that. And I was told it's too upsetting. So it's the greatest backwards compliment I think I've ever had. And now I go to all her fights. Like, she's a
but if I
promoter,
would
she's
like to
wonderful.
Say, once he wrapped, it was
Yeah.
one of the last days, Christy came up and gave him a hug.
Yeah.
And that made me cry.
I would say I was more of the middle person between you and Christy, and that day was pretty magical because she said he was so convincing as Jim on set, and when we finally wrapped Ben, she came up to you and gave you the biggest hug, and she had said, I can't wait to meet Ben. But he was so convincing as Jim on set, and Sid was so convincing as Christy. It was just, and you were so convincing as Lisa that it just, I mean, the performances were really extraordinary, as you said.
Thank you for that. Kerry, I want to come back to you. In producing this film, what did you have to say to Christy to get her to say, yes, I'll let you do this project around my life? Because I can't, when someone has the type of experience that she had, it's really difficult to go and relive all of that and then have it relive in cinema for perpetuity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Christy, her story, like, people have tried to tell it for years, and then we came into her life, and she's like, well, why should I trust you? She didn't really have a lot of trust for Hollywood, go figure. I don't know why that would be, but on movies that I work on, and it's so imperative that the subject or the author becomes part of the family and part of the, in our home, and the crew and everyone. And we sent her every draft. We invited her, to prep. She came and watched Sid train and worked with her and met with her, and she was an integral part, as Sid mentioned earlier, to the process. And she learned, and I would say, like, she wanted to be on, then she loved it so much she didn't want to leave set. And we were really careful to not have her there on scenes that would have been sensitive to shoot. And I think the crew, they had all read the script, but I think they were floored when they first met her. You could have heard a pin drop in the room because we had just shot the brutal scene at the end of the film the day before. And when she walked in, there was like an ovation for her for how long? Like maybe 10, 15 minutes. And we all just became one family.
I love that so much, and I want to applaud you because sometimes it's really difficult, as I mentioned earlier in the conversation with you, to get these types of films made, especially when you are a woman producer and you're trying to produce a film about a woman. So I just want to give you your flowers on that. I know how difficult it is.
Well, I can't take that. I mean, it takes a village, and I had wonderful partners, Sid and David and the votive producers and Black Bear. So I had wonderful partners.
I know, but you're the one that's here on the stage, you and Sydney.
And
so
Sid,
I'm going to give
Sid.
you your flowers while you're here and tell you that I am floored and enamored at the tenacity that it took to get this done, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and we are all so incredibly grateful that you did. I mean that. Now, I saved this subject for toward the end because, I wanted to keep it light and fluffy, but now we're going to get a little serious. The part of the film that does get into the mental and the physical abuse, Sydney, I want to know for you, what type of headspace did you have to tap into to be there, and for you and Lisa, actually, and Ben, what type of headspace did you have to tap into to bring that and make it real for you in that moment and then get out of it? Because sometimes inhabiting these characters, that stuff can kind of sit on you for a minute.
Well, I mean, the moment Ben and I walked into this room, I remember you looked at me and you were like, we're just here. And I feel like we just took that for the rest of that part of the film. And I mean, working alongside Ben is absolutely incredible. He's one of the most talented actors I've ever been lucky enough to work with. So I'm forever grateful for you. I also felt like I had to just keep being better for you. You're amazing. And so being able to go to places like that with someone that you trust and someone who challenges you and pushes you to even crazier levels, and then also knowing that you have the weight of telling someone else's truth it's a lot. It's hard, it's deep, it's terrifying. But the entire time we all said we're going to be Christy strong. And so after every day of doing that, I would just walk away and I'd be like, I'm gonna be Christy Strong.
I love that. And you all had that adage with you every time you shot something, yeah?
100%. I mean, this is a really serious film, and it's incredible that Christy, I mean, that she's here today, you know, and this is why we have to tell this story, and this is why we had, you know, it's not, she's an incredibly gifted boxer, but to see what she has gone through, as you said earlier, Katie, you know, what you don't see behind the curtain, and to see what she's gone through, like the story, like her story needed to be told, and it truly is a gift to that these guys here we're on, you know, the screen of that.
In completing this film, what has it taught you about yourself when it comes to tenacity and the power of the mind? Because it was the power of her mind and her tenacity and her strength that got her through the worst moment of her life and made her get on the other side of it. So for each one of you, how do you see that type of tenacity and strength for yourself after having inhabited these people and been a part of this story? And we can start with our dear producer first.
Oh gosh, I just had this mentality. It's been a crazy year of just one foot in front of the other, and getting through the dark times in life. And Christy's the biggest inspiration in that. So having made the film and then seeing, I mean, what she has been through, and to get through the other side of it, you know, we all can do it, and in our own ways.
It's hard. I think domestic violence is incredibly common, more so than people like to think. I used to work crisis intervention. I would see a lot of these situations. And so many people blame themselves. So many people don't know how to get out of the situation. Something that I found so incredible about what Christy did was not only did she have this horrible experience for a very long time, because it's not just a one-day thing, it's a very long time. Went to the hospital, got out of the hospital, and then made it her decision to help as many people as she could. And that's something that I think is just so incredible. It's not just, I'm going to sit with this and keep my story to myself. She's using it to help other people find their voice and defend against this kind of situation, which is, again, like disgustingly common.
Just keep protecting your heart and protect your loved ones. And if you have a feeling, let them know. Hook an elbow. Give them a safe space. That's all it's about.
Thank you for that. Did you want to add anything, Sydney?
I mean, Christy taught me a lot about myself, actually, throughout the entire process. She taught me how to stand up for myself more and feel stronger in my personal life and my work life. We both fight our own fights in different type of rings. And, yeah, check in on your friends and make sure they're all okay.
I concur. In closing out the conversation, I want to say this as well about the film. I really love how beautifully and how non-cartoony you guys handled the LGBTQ storyline in the film, because a lot of times when we see these types of storylines, you walk away with it going, really? But this was so tastefully well done, and it really touches your heart, and it makes you realize that, you know, community is not just one group or one person. Community means, you know, whatever is living in your heart and what touches your heart. So I just wanted to say that to you guys. Ending this conversation, I want to thank Katie, Kerry, Ben, and Sydney for taking the time out to discuss their film, Christy. If you know somebody that has not seen this film, please, please, please tell everybody you know to see it. It is an important piece of cinema, and it's independently produced. So because it's independently produced, we need as many eyes on it as possible. Can y'all do that for me? Thank you. Have a good night. Be safe going home.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you all.